Hello friends, this video is about a well-forgotten old tool for reliable clamping of two objects together using wire clamps. My clamper can even be used in construction as well as in the outdoors while hiking or camping. In many cases, it is hard to find a better alternative to this simple clamping device. I don't know another clamp that would be so reliable, compact and cheap at the same time. It is impossible to pull a hose off of a pipe when it is clamped to it by a double wire loop. The double wire loop ensures an even and tight pressure around the entire circumference of a hose. The wire clamp has good aesthetics and it is almost flush with the hose. If you cut the clamp, you will see an even, uninterrupted circular impression on the hose, including the spot where the wire was bent and fastened. This means this method would guarantee a leak-proof hose connection. Another obvious example of the clamper's application is fixing split tool handles. If you apply a few wire clamps on a cracked chisel handle, the handle will be even stronger than it was before. The clamps are compact and lack sharp edges, so they won't cut your hand. This is a bold statement that needs to be proven. I didn't find any cracked tool handles in my shop, so I made a new one and then split it into several pieces. Once I reassembled the cracked handle and reinforced it with copper and steel wire clamps, it became even stronger than before it was broken. Now my chisel's handle won't crack even if you aggressively drive it with a mallet. Besides its functionality, wire clamps have a certain decorative appeal. I like this look and functionality of the new handle so much that I decided to reinforce all of my tool's wooden handles using this method. While developing and testing the final clamper's design, I took the prototype to my log cabin camp at Ladoga Lake. As you can see, the tool's frame is not welded yet. Because the prototype's structural rigidity was poor, it was not very convenient to use. However, I was able to assemble a very strong ladder from long sticks using the prototype clamper for securing the rungs with steel wire. The makeshift ladder could easily hold the combined weight of my body, my heavy thoughts, and the wet roll of sod on my shoulder. Here are a couple more examples of the clamper's use. After this additional demo, I will show how I made my clamper in detail. Using the wire clamper, I assembled a frame for my inflatable catamaran. It is easy to find several long sticks in the woods. However, it's a lot more difficult to make a rigid and reliable frame out of them, especially in the outdoor setting. Using wire clamps is a simple, fast, and reliable solution. I used my catamaran in rough waters a number of times, and I haven't doubted the integrity of its frame even once. The wire clamps never failed me. One thing I didn't quite grasp: the catamaran's frame would get wet and then dry multiple times, yet the crisscross stick joints reinforced with wire clamps would not get loose. Moreover, the frame underwent a lot of lateral and longitudinal strain while bobbing on the waves. I would think it would have gotten loose, but it didn't. Perhaps someone would be able to explain the phenomenon to me down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. The clamper is a great tool for household use too. I once lost a holding ring for my scythe, but easily reattached its blade to the handle using a wire clamp. The wire clamp never came off. Again, I still don't quite understand why the wire clamp continues to reliably hold a blade on the handle after a multiple wetting drying cycles. Some of my old viewers might be wondering why not use PET tape cut by the bottle cutter jig I had shown in some of my videos. I have come to the conclusion that PET tape is great in many applications, but not always. While PET tape would hold members together well, it won't pull them together nearly as strongly as a tightly applied wire clamp. Together, these inexpensive joinery solutions are a superior tandem. It isn't difficult to make your own clamper. You don't have to follow my example and make your clamper from stainless steel with a wooden infill and a welded T-handle. The tool can be made a lot simpler. All you have to do is to drill a hole in a strip of metal and cut a notch on one end. The T-handle can be made from a bolt or a metal pin. Functionally, such a simple clamper would work fine. It's just my personal preference that I like to make and use tools that are well made as well as feel and look good on your hand. Now let's get to the process. I used a strip of stainless steel, 2 large engine valves and a piece of oak. I cut the strip to be about 12 inches, 310 millimeters long, flattened it using my homemade aluminum mallet and smoothened the edges. Then I cut 2 notches to make it easier to bend the strip at sharp corners and wrapped it around an improvised mold. When you follow this procedure, the metal strip bends symmetrically on the first try. Now close your eyes, please. I will do a little welding. I'm not an expert in stainless steel welding, but I'm pretty good at grinding and polishing metal, so the end result hopefully will not suffer. I laid out a taper on the clamper's end using a caliper, a ruler, and a marker. Once I cut out the needed shape with the side grinder, I decided to weld the seam again, just for insurance. Once the seam is cleaned, it is time to get to T-handle making. I decided to make it from 2 old truck engine valves by cutting off pins of the needed length with a side grinder. I'm planning to use 332's 3mm wire for clamps, so I will drill 2 slightly larger holes, say 1/8 of an inch, 4mm. And then I did a little more welding to finish making the T-handle. I protected the pins with aluminum caps to prevent a liquid metal overspray. I can't say I'm totally happy with the welding aesthetics, but after sanding and polishing the welded joint, it looked acceptable to me. And what's more important is that T-handle ended up being very strong, which is necessary for occasional application of extra tight wire clamps. It is time to cut a wooden insert on my homemade table saw. I shaped the wooden infill roughly to size and hammered it into the tool's handle. As you can see, it didn't look quite right. In order to eliminate all of the gapping around the wooden insert, it has to be wedge-shaped. The second infill insertion attempt was successful. Now the oak infill looks perfectly seated in the metal handle. Finally, we need to drill a hole for the T-handle. It is best to achieve a fairly tight fit. After filing a notch for a wire and a little polishing, we are done. My wire clamper can easily fit in a pocket, which means it is a pocket tool. Here's a crazy idea I've had for a while. I wanted to make a cannon from an oak log. I think I know how I can reinforce the stress zones now. It will take a lot of wire clamps to achieve the necessary strength, though. Another idea I have is I want to make a watchtower that would be taller than the pine tree I used to get some cell phone reception. I need to get about 10 feet, 3 meters above this pine for more stable cell phone reception. I'm going to use long sticks and wire clamps to build this makeshift phone tower. I hope you will find the wire clamper tool just as useful as my PET tape bottle cutter jig. P.S. This short clip of my clamper's application is for my most dedicated viewers. I use wire clamps to attach a padlock with my climbing buddy's names engraved to secure it to the post at Kilimanjaro's volcano's peak in Africa at 19,000 feet, almost 6,000 meters. I hope it will stay there for a while. If you liked this video, perhaps you could share it with your friends. Let good people watch good videos. This is Max Egorov, St. Petersburg, Russia. And a final note, I only produce 1 or 2 videos max a month. And if you don't want to miss new content like this, you can click on the bell reminder for notifications. I hope to see you back on Advoko Makes.